And at this point, Candace isn't playing politics. She's playing God. And when someone starts to switch their faith like outfits, it's not a conviction, it's chaos. If you guys are as confused as I am about the latest version of Candace Owens, well, congratulations. You've clicked the right video. Because just when I thought it was safe to let sis back at the cookout, she flipped again and again and again. And let me be clear, guys, I really do like Candace. I don't agree with everything she says, but I really do like her, okay? But Candace has flipped too many times. She's flipped on the black community. She's flipped on Ben Shapiro. She's flipped on Trump. She's even flipped on her own audience. You know, the same one that made her famous. And now she's quoting Catholic priests and posting about God like she has a rosary in one hand and a revenge plan in the other. So let me be clear. This video, this isn't about dragging Candace, okay? This is about trying to make sense of someone who keeps changing her robe like it's a wardrobe call at a BET special. Because if Candace switches her faith, flags, and front lines one more time, I'm going to need a flow chart and a prayer. Because honestly, it's starting to sound and feel disingenuous. So let's talk about it. And if this is your first time tuning in to Southern Confidential, welcome. And to everyone else, welcome back. And if you would take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like the video, I would really appreciate it. And now, back to our story. So this is my take on it, guys. People grow, people evolve, people switch sides. Call it youth, call it ego, call it finding yourself in the algorithm. I don't know. And hey, I'm not even mad at that. Growth is good. Self-awareness is even better. It's necessary, right? But this, y'all, this is something else. It's something different. And it doesn't feel right.
On a day-to-day basis.
When the leader of Iran says death to America, why doesn't that concern you?
Okay, that's a chant. And by the way, I want to be very clear. Why are they chanting death to America? Why are they chanting that? That's kind of a random thing. Like, I know,
because they want Americans dead.
But why do they want, why are they specifically chanting as opposed to saying, I don't know, death to China or death to Russia? What is it specifically about America?
Well, they say death to America, death to Israel, death to the United Kingdom, actually.
Oh, okay.
Death to pretty much anyone that wants to stand up to them.
Could have had something to do with our actions in the Middle East.
Now, we don't have to go all the way back to Candace's college days, high school days, you know, when she was far left. We can start around, let's just say 2017, when sis burst onto the scene like a 4th of July firework wrapped in a MAGA hat. So Candace made her name by calling Black Lives Matters a scam. I ain't even mad with her about that either, okay? Then she told Black America that racism wasn't real, was basically a figment of our imaginations. And then she praised Trump like he was the second coming of Abraham Lincoln with a Twitter account. And if you're wondering why I'm not playing a lot of the footage with her and some of the interviews she's done, is because YouTube is just doing too much these days. I really don't want to get into copyright or copyrighted material. So I'm going to link those interviews in the description box. Feel free to listen to those if you like. But for the most part, just kind of concentrate on the content of what I'm talking about. Thanks, guys. At that time, Candace wasn't just conservative, y'all. She was the right's favorite wrecking ball. Loud, proud, and unstoppable. But somewhere between the rallies, the retweets, and the rosary beads, Candace started flipping. And I'm not just talking about changing her mind. I'm talking about changing her identity every time the audience shifted. At least that's how it appeared to me. So Candace is just all over the place, and you lose credibility when that happens. So I'm not talking about growth and evolution. I'm just talking about just switching where people can't really keep up with what you're doing or who you are. She flipped on Black people. She flipped on Trump. She flipped on Ben Shapiro. Now she's flipping through scripture like it's a rebrand strategy. And that's the issue, Candace. Because what you say, girl, really impacts people's lives, especially those people that follow you very closely. So this isn't about politics anymore, Candace. It's about power, influence, and it's about knowing exactly what to say and who to say it to, and how to monetize your conviction, even if it means playing with God to do it. So, Candace, listen, here's the thing. I actually love your intellect. I love your confidence, your charm, your clapbacks, and even the way you strut into the room knowing you're already going to own it. But, baby girl, here's the thing. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is an authority on every topic. Not politics, not pandemics, and certainly not prophecy. See, Candace, the danger comes in when your non-expert opinion starts sounding like gospel. And the people following you, well, they're not just fans, Candace. Some of those people are building their belief systems on your brand. And when your brand starts tiptoeing into spiritual territory like it's just another hot take, that's when things get scary. Because you're not just flipping headlines anymore, Candace. You're flipping souls. And some of us been wearing our faith like a favorite jacket for years through storms, struggles, heartbreaks. And when you start swinging your wrecking ball through spiritual threads you don't even fully understand, girl, you're not just shaking the table, you're tearing the seams of something spiritual, okay? Something sacred. So, respectfully, Candace, stay in your lane, girl. Drag a politician, expose a scandal, read somebody on economics. We'll cheer you on. But when it comes to faith, don't play with that, Candace. Don't brand it. And please, for the love of God, don't flip it for views. So there's always reasons, guys, why people do different things. And sometimes, we only know the version of the person that we see, in the public. So we don't confess to know her, right? But at least we want you to live up to who you say you are, at least, right? So if we're talking Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire breakup, then that fallout, it was kind of quiet, but icy though. So when Candace started going off script, criticizing Israel, reposting pro-Palestine content, and using language borderline anti-Semitism, then Ben said, hit the brakes, pump the brakes, right? He said flat out, Candace does not represent the Daily Wire's values. And then so after that, Candace was gone. No press conference, no goodbye tour, just deleted thumbnails and uncomfortable silence. And listen, even folk who supported her were like, wait, what happened to the girl who defended Israel at every turn? The shift was so sharp. I'm going to tell you, Candace didn't just burn bridges, she blew up the whole toll plaza, my opinion. And now the most recent plot twist. Candace has gone from political pundit to religious warrior. She converted to Catholicism somewhere around April 2024, complete with rosaries, Latin mass, and public devotion. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with finding faith. But when your new spiritual leaders are priests that are known for calling Israel a terrorist regime and opposing civil rights laws, I don't know, Candace. People are starting to ask, is this about God or is this about optics? Because religion, just like politics, Candace, comes with a following. And you are no stranger to chasing a crowd, girl. I'm just saying. So this is my opinion. At this point, at this juncture, it doesn't even appear to be about left or right. It's about trust. Because how do you trust someone who keeps reinventing themselves depending on where the power and the profits are. So we've watched Candace speak with conviction. We've watched her cry. We've watched her attack and apologize, sometimes in the same breath. But real growth, in my opinion, comes with accountability. And from where we sit, girl, it feels less like growth and more like calculated survival. And if you're going to flip, Candace, fine. But don't gaslight the people who kept receipts when you swore you'd never go back. So let me tell you guys about a conversation that my husband and I had the other night. So we're chatting and Candace Owens comes up, you know, the many faces of Candace Owens. And in his innocence, he says, well, I just think that she's misguided. And maybe she doesn't realize the spiritual impact and weight of what she's doing. And I said, well, no, that's cute. But listen, sweetheart, pump your brakes. Because I'm out here on these internet streets. I've seen the patterns of people, right? And let's be real. Candace isn't lost at all. She's not confused. And she definitely isn't being silenced. The girl is bold. She's calculated. And that girl has turned flipping into a full-time profession. And now she's flipping through scripture like it's a PR strategy. And if that journey includes stepping on every community that once supported her, weaponizing faith, and claiming that the moral high ground is something that she embraces, all while flipping positions like a gymnast, then maybe, just maybe, she's not playing that game anymore. Maybe she's just playing God. So here's what scares me the most. Candace might see this as a business, just content maybe. Another day, another platform, another flip. But her millions of followers, they're hanging on every word, even when the words are dangerously close to the edge, even when those words shift like sand under a sinking house. Because it's one thing to change your mind. It's another thing to change your spiritual posture as often as you change a baby's diaper. And see, that's the danger of social media. It's a blessing and a curse. It gives you a voice, but it also gives you influence. And depending on what you persuade people to embrace, that influence could lead them towards growth or guide them right off the cliff. That's why it does matter, guys. So drop me a comment. Is Candace the actress of the algorithm? Are we witnessing the rise of a dangerous influence cloaked in conviction? Or should we all just pipe down and wait for the next identity to show up next month? One thing's for sure. If you're going to play with politics, that's one thing. But when you start playing with people's faith, that's not commentary anymore, Candace. That's a crisis. And as always, thank you for tuning in to Southern Confidential. And if you haven't already, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and your girl. I'll see you next time.